Hold up, because what you're about to hear is not gossip, not a rumor, and definitely not something Hollywood wanted leaking into the daylight. This is one of those stories that makes publicists sweat, lawyers wake up at 3 a.m., and insiders suddenly lose signal. One podcast, one voice, and suddenly an A-list name is at the center of a storm no amount of PR can fully contain. According to explosive claims made by Tasha K, there's a hidden situation. Not about cheating, not about ego, but something far more serious, that may have been quietly managed behind closed doors for years. And if even part of what she's alleging is true, this stops being celebrity drama and starts becoming a full-blown industry nightmare. Why were conversations allegedly sealed? Why did relationships reportedly end overnight with no explanation? And why are insiders now whispering about panic, damage control, and silent precautions? Fans are confused. Hollywood is tense. And the silence? Deafening. Because when secrets are protected long enough, they don't disappear, they explode. And tonight, we're breaking down the claims that have everyone asking the same question: what was really being hidden? And who knew about it first? Hollywood loves control. Control of images, control of narratives, control of what the public is allowed to believe. Red carpets shine, interviews sparkle, and social media feeds stay perfectly polished. But every once in a while, a story slips through the cracks, one that doesn't fit the carefully scripted fantasy. And according to claims made by Tasha K, this is one of those stories. This didn't begin with headlines. It didn't start with paparazzi photos or cryptic Instagram captions. It started quietly, behind closed doors, in conversations that were never meant to leave private rooms. Whispers among insiders. Sudden breakups that made no sense. Relationships that ended overnight without warning. And a level of silence that felt intentional. On her podcast, Tasha K made it clear from the start, this wasn't playful commentary. Her tone was controlled, cautious, almost heavy. The kind of tone that signals someone believes they are holding information powerful enough to cause damage. According to her, what she was about to discuss had been circulating inside Hollywood for years, protected not by truth, but by influence. And then she said the name that changed everything: Teyana Taylor. Now, let's be clear, these are claims, not confirmed facts. But the reason they landed so hard is because they connected dots fans had been questioning for a long time. The sudden shifts in relationships. The carefully managed public appearances. The way certain questions were never answered, only redirected. According to Tasha, this wasn't about cheating scandals or messy breakups. It was about something deeper, something allegedly tied to health, disclosure, and silence. She claimed that there was an issue that should have remained private, but the way it was allegedly handled turned it into a much bigger problem. What made the situation explosive, she suggested, wasn't the issue itself. It was the alleged lack of transparency. The idea that people who may have needed clarity were instead left in the dark. And in Hollywood, where power often decides whose voice matters, silence can be enforced without a single public threat. Tasha alleged that insiders had known for years. That this wasn't a sudden revelation but an open secret among certain circles. Quiet warnings. Subtle distancing. Private conversations that never reached the media. And while fans were busy speculating about relationship drama, the real concern was allegedly being managed behind the scenes. She painted a picture of an industry that reacts not with accountability, but with containment. Lawyers before statements. NDAs before explanations. Reputation managers before honesty. According to her, once the situation was flagged as dangerous, the priority became protecting images, not addressing risks. And this is where the story becomes unsettling. Tasha suggested that timing played a critical role. That certain relationships began and ended during periods when, according to her claims, questions should have been asked, but weren't. Instead, narratives were replaced. Breakups were blamed on incompatibility. Distance was labeled as career focus. And the public accepted it because the truth was never offered as an option. She emphasized that no one wanted to be the first to speak. Because in Hollywood, the person who breaks silence often becomes the problem. Careers stall. Invitations disappear. Suddenly, you're difficult, unstable, or not worth the risk. And according to Tasha, that fear is exactly how the story stayed buried.
Or was it a relationship? Here's the thing. I know TT got upset with me when I said that she was too clingy. It was given too much too soon.
By the time she reached the end of this portion of her podcast, one thing was clear. If these allegations held even partial truth, then this wasn't a personal issue anymore.
It was a systemic one.
A situation where influence may have overridden responsibility, and silence became the most powerful tool of all.
And this was only the beginning.
Because once names start surfacing, the story doesn't shrink, it expands. And according to Tasha K., the next phase wouldn't just involve whispers. It would involve relationships, reactions, and an industry suddenly realizing that not every secret can stay hidden forever. According to Tasha K., the story didn't stay hidden forever because silence has cracks, and those cracks often appear inside relationships. She claimed that once the alleged issue existed, every personal connection afterward became more complicated, more fragile, and far more dangerous than it looked from the outside. This is where timelines start to matter. Tasha pointed out that after Teyana Taylor's very public separation, her personal life appeared to move fast.
New energy, new faces, new beginnings.
But behind that movement, Tasha suggested there was emotional instability, someone trying to outrun stillness, because stillness brings questions.
And questions bring answers no one wants to face.
One name, in particular, became central to this phase, Aaron Pierre. Now again, these are claims, not confirmations. But Tasha described the relationship as uneven from the start. According to her, Aaron appeared emotionally invested, attentive, and present, while Teyana seemed distant, constantly busy, always moving to the next project, the next city, the next distraction. Tasha framed it as a rebound dynamic, not built on long-term honesty, but on escape. An emotional buffer, a way to redirect attention away from a past that was becoming uncomfortable. And then came the red flags. She claimed that people close to Aaron began noticing changes after the relationship cooled.
Confusion, withdrawal,
emotional distress that didn't match a simple breakup narrative. Tasha suggested it looked less like heartbreak and more like someone processing information they were never prepared to handle.
And this is where the story darkens.
According to Tasha, insiders began whispering, not publicly, but privately.
Conversations shifted. Certain people started keeping their distance.
Invitations quietly stopped coming.
And no one explained why.
Because explanations create records, and records create liability. Tasha alleged that this wasn't limited to one relationship. She suggested a pattern. Connections forming quickly, dissolving suddenly, and never being discussed again.
No interviews. No statements. Just silence. The kind of silence that feels coordinated.
She emphasized that Hollywood doesn't wait for proof to protect itself.
It waits for risk.
And once risk is identified, containment begins. Narratives are reshaped.
Blame is softened. Focus is redirected.
Instead of asking difficult questions, the public is given easier ones. Was it a personality clash?
Was it career pressure? Was it bad timing?
According to Tasha, those questions were distractions.
She also claimed that this period marked the start of quiet image management.
Public appearances became more controlled.
Interviews sounded rehearsed.
And any narrative that could lead back to the alleged issue was gently pushed off the map. What disturbed her most, she said, wasn't the speculation, it was the imbalance of power. Because if someone without influence suspected something, they had no platform. And if they spoke up, they risked being labeled unstable, obsessed, or unreliable. And that fear, Tasha suggested, is what kept people silent. By the end of this section of her podcast, the audience wasn't just watching a relationship story unravel. They were watching the outline of a system, one where emotional fallout becomes collateral damage, and truth is weighed against reputation. And if this phase was about relationships breaking under pressure, the next phase would be about something far bigger. Because once whispers turn into warnings, Hollywood doesn't hesitate, it reacts. According to Tasha K., this was the point where the story stopped being about relationships and became about survival.
Nasty. I mean, hell, baby daddy ex-husband just got the police called on him by one of Ra Ali's alleged girls that she sent down there to have a threesome with him. And then the girlfriend that he was supposed to have threesome with didn't want to participate, and she only wanted it to be a twosome. And so allegedly he wanted to force her to do it anyway. So she had to call the police to tell the police she didn't want to participate.
She claimed that once whispers turned into internal warnings, the atmosphere around the situation changed instantly.
Not loudly, not publicly, quietly, strategically.
Because when power senses danger, it doesn't panic, it moves pieces. Tasha alleged that behind the scenes, conversations were happening that never reached the public. Lawyers, managers,
PR specialists.
People whose job isn't to tell the truth, but to control what version of it exists. She suggested that once a potential narrative threatened reputations, the priority became containment, not clarity.
And containment requires silence.
According to her, this is when the invisible wall went up. People who once spoke freely suddenly didn't know anything.
Messages went unanswered. Mutuals stopped returning calls.
And anyone who asked the wrong questions found themselves quietly removed from rooms they once had access to.
No explanation. Just exclusion.
Tasha emphasized that this wasn't about proving anything.
It was about minimizing exposure.
Because in Hollywood, perception matters more than facts, and timing matters more than accountability. If a story can be delayed long enough, it eventually dies, or gets replaced by a louder distraction.
And distractions came fast. New projects, new visuals, new headlines,
carefully timed appearances that shifted attention back to creativity, success, and reinvention. According to Tasha, it was textbook reputation buffering. Flood the narrative space so no single allegation can breathe. But she also claimed something else happened during this phase.
People started talking anonymously. Not on record, not on camera, but in fragments, in warnings,
in "be careful who you trust." Messages passed quietly from one person to another. She suggested that within certain circles, the story wasn't shocking anymore. It was understood, just never acknowledged. That's the most dangerous stage of any allegation, when it's widely believed privately, but never addressed publicly.
Tasha said this is where the imbalance becomes obvious.
Because when someone powerful is accused, even indirectly, the burden of proof becomes nearly impossible. Speak up without evidence, you're dismissed. Gather evidence, you're blocked.
Persist, and you're labeled a threat. So people choose silence. Not because nothing happened,
but because speaking costs too much. She ended her breakdown by reminding listeners that silence doesn't equal innocence, and noise doesn't equal truth. What matters is who controls the narrative, and who pays the price when the narrative breaks. According to Tasha, this story isn't finished.
It's paused.
And pauses don't mean resolution, they mean preparation. Because history shows that stories buried by power have a habit of resurfacing when conditions change. When protection fades. When someone decides the risk of silence is worse than the risk of speaking. Until then, all that remains are patterns, unanswered questions, and a system that knows exactly how to protect itself. And sometimes, she warned, the loudest statement is the one that's never officially denied. So now the question isn't what was said. The real question is why so many people are suddenly quiet. Because if nothing here mattered, if there was truly nothing to question, then why does this story keep circling back into the conversation?
That's where you come in.
This channel doesn't tell you what to think. We put the pieces on the table and let you decide what makes sense and what doesn't. Allegations, patterns, silence, timing, power plays. None of that exists in a vacuum. And history has shown us one thing very clearly. The stories people work the hardest to bury are usually the ones that scare them the most.
So ask yourself, is silence really the same as innocence?
Why do certain topics trigger instant shutdowns while others explode freely? And who actually benefits when conversations suddenly disappear?
He sounds a little bit more needy than what she's used to. That's why she slides another hoe into the bedroom, because she ain't got time to be there. You know she be traveling. She got 2 kids she got to fend for, you know what I'm saying? And she be on everybody's project, including her own. And she ain't got time to be settling down and cuddling and sucking on a man's ear to make him feel comfortable. And every time I saw them together, he was always like... And I'm like, why is he acting like Becky in the relationship? That's what he learned from them damn Beckys. For real. So, sucking on his ear. Y'all ain't ever heard that before? People that got sucking fixations, it's like a soothing mechanism, because he can't suck his thumb in public, so she would suck on it. Come on now. Jasmine, you've seen that before, right? I just felt like he just needed a breast to suck on. He just required too much attention. And, you know, Teyana's a busy girl. So to me, I feel like, you know, for her, it was rebound. I can't say that word right now because...
Drop your thoughts in the comments, but keep it smart. We want theories, timelines, contradictions, and questions that deserve answers. Not noise, not hate, real discussion. If you've been watching this unfold and thinking, Something about this doesn't add up. You're not alone. And if you think this is just another internet distraction, say that too. Every angle matters. Make sure you like this video if you believe uncomfortable conversations still deserve space. Subscribe if you're tired of surface-level headlines and want deeper breakdowns that others won't touch. And most importantly, turn on notifications, because stories like this don't end cleanly. They resurface when least expected.
This isn't about picking sides. It's about paying attention.
Because in a world where narratives are managed, controlled, and polished to perfection, sometimes the real story lives in what's never officially addressed.
Stay sharp. Stay questioning. We'll see you in the next breakdown.